It says it's
Okay, that's live.
okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, sorry.
No worries.
That's okay.
So yeah, I guess if we just want to start with the impressions. The first one is, what did it feel like to extend gratitude towards the 3 people that you thanked?
I can.
Oh, go ahead.
I think it helped me like recognize what other people have done and why I feel appreciated for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of second that. It helped, like, it made me think of like how important these individuals are to me and how like legitimately grateful I am for them. So I mean, like, I just, I mean, I am grateful for them, but it helped me like realize exactly how much they've done for me.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
I think the ability to, like, for me, it was a matter of being able to look back and feel so blessed for where I was at and where I am now. So not just the gratitude, because legitimately I'm grateful to all of them. Also to recognize the Lord's hand in everything that's happened in the past 3 or 4 years in my life. So that was also a nice touch.
Good, yeah. It was kind of like for what you all were saying. I really was able to reflect too and hope that the way I extended gratitude, that someone would feel comfortable extending it towards me. You know, it made me just kind of think of the golden rule, like, you know, just being kind and stuff.
Yeah.
How about their reactions? It says, how did they feel and what was their reaction towards you when you gave them the note or the treat or whatever you did?
Well, for me, it was almost like reciprocated. Like, I expressed my gratitude, and then it immediately came right back on how grateful they are for me and what I've done for them.
Yeah, that's cool.
I guess surprise as well. Because maybe I feel like sometimes we just are doing what we're doing in our world and everything, and we don't think or we don't see other people thanking each other. So I think it was kind of a surprise for them as well, because it's like, oh my gosh, like no one has done this for me in years, or like never. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's what I got too, is the people that I handed it out, or just said thank you. They were like, oh, you don't know how much I needed this week, and it was just, it made me feel good to, I feel like too, I felt inspired by those people that I handed it to, and I think that showed in their gratitude and thanking me.
That's good.
I think that's been really uplifting to me over the last couple of years. I have, this sounds really weird, but when things get weird, rough, especially at work, there's been a lot of change. I talk about how much I like it, but there's been a lot of change from when I started to now that kind of helped me. It's hard to feel out where I'm at and that I feel like I'm making a difference. Like I have this stack, sorry, I'm looking at this stack of cards. I have like 3 or 4 cards that people have written me to say thank you for things. And legitimately, I like open them up during rough times and like read the thank yous to be like, okay, this is why you go to work today, and this is what you do and the difference that you make. So I think being able to reciprocate that back to people was really meaningful to me. I appreciate handwritten things, and no one, honestly, who really handwrites cards anymore these days?
Exactly.
So like the act of handwriting a card and thinking through what you're going to put on there, I think can be touching.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that does say a lot. Yeah, I wish that's definitely something I want to teach my kids, because like even with the holidays coming up and stuff, that's what we did. Like the morning after Christmas is we all sat down at the kitchen table and we wrote thank you cards to family members and stuff. And I think it like you said, Melissa, it just really shows that you are appreciative and you're taking that time to show them. So there's the articles that we were asked to read were pretty cool, and There's questions and it says, what is the role of gratitude in organizations? You guys kind of think of anything? I read a book last semester, and of course I don't remember what it was called, but it talks about how in the business world and once you get to where you want it to be, once you have it, you give it back. So, you know, you make X amount of money, but then you can donate a lot of it back to businesses that might be struggling to help them get to where you are, and hopefully that will pay it forward. And I thought that was really cool, and that just really could show how humble organization could be. And that also plays a role in gratitude, I think.
Definitely. Let me see. I mean, I just thought it was interesting overall. I really like the reading from Gratitude at Work, because there has been research done that shows that when you, especially if you're a manager, you appreciate your employees for what they do, they tend to work better, in a less stressful way, and they are willing to work even more hours because they feel appreciated. They feel like they are, you know, they can see that they are working hard towards whatever they're doing, right? And I thought that was interesting because, like, I've worked in many jobs, and I think I've only had one person, one manager, actually be kind of open and like thank us for what we did, you know, but in a meaningful way, not just like, oh, thank you guys, you know, like, and walked away. No, but like, you could see that that person was really appreciated. And it's true. I feel like it's true and it works. We were willing to work with her, and you know, if there were any issues, you know, how can we fix it, you know, things like that. I feel like that's important.
That's good.
Yeah, I think, you know, showing forth gratitude encourages, you know, the people under you, and it just makes the work environment that much more, you know, comfortable for them. It makes them happier and makes work easier. So it just leads to all these positives.
Yep. Trickles down the line.
And I find I'm much more loyal. Like I think it almost humanizes everything, right? So instead of being just these little robots that they pay, which is what I felt like in my last job, very thankless. In this one, I think it inspires loyalty and inspires a sense of team. And, you know, I think it really contributes to that synergy we read about that gets it to where the point that it's an open, honest place where you think you can, you know, you're safe, and it to me, it just expresses everything like that. So in my experience in this job, that saying, hey, thank you. I know it really sucks. I'm an executive assistant, right? So I know it really sucks to have to do my expense reports every time, but you don't understand how much time that saves me. Thank you. And every time I upload a receipt, it's an acknowledgement that I appreciate what you're doing. So, you know, those kind of things that say thank you. It makes a difference for me.
I think it helps us to feel not overlooked as well. If you go a long time doing the same stuff, you know, without any kind of acknowledgement of, hey, this isn't right, or better, hey, you're doing a great job, keep it up, you know. Like you said, it helps to keep the progress going.
Yeah. Our team does this like once a month meeting in our whole department, all of IT. We call it our What's Up meeting. So we like fill each other in on what's going on in our department. And we have this time at the very end for shout outs, which is just like informal thank yous for people that have gone above and beyond and have really like helped you do whatever. And so I really like that opportunity for us to just informally let everyone know what people that have helped us to be successful, because there's legitimately things we can't do just by ourselves. And so acknowledging that people have gone outside of their swim lane, outside of their responsibilities to do something to help you when everyone's busy, publicly, thank you. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay, let me pull up the next question. The next one was, have you seen any examples of how it increased of effectiveness? And we kind of already talked about that, but do you guys have any actual examples from work? You talked about a couple, Melissa. Any others?
Yeah, I've had a handful at work when I used to work at Lowe's, and then we'd have times where we'd have these like super special sales, and the workload for everybody would just increase. So at the end of those seasons, our managers were always would express gratitude for how hard we worked for these hectic times, and that it makes it all worthwhile. All that stress and stuff that you went through during that that period just kind of melts away when that you did something good, and when you pleased your superior and you were able to do a good job.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think I found some, like, what I really liked from the reading, foster a culture of gratitude.
Yeah.
I like how they're touching about like helping others develop, involve employees in certain things so that they feel like they're a part of something. And it goes back to my last job. Like, for example, even before I got pregnant, like I was interested in another position, and my coworkers actually they have been with the company for like 15 years. But this manager was kind of like preventing them from moving up within the company. And even before I even mentioned to the manager, like, hey, I want to, check out this department. Like, could I go shadow or something? They told me she's not going to let you do it. And it happened, sadly. Sad because my coworkers, they tried many times. They're like, hey, like, I want to do this, but there was no support from her part, like, oh, I want to do this, like, okay, you can do this to improve your skills in order to be accepted into this job or advocate for us. I felt like she wasn't doing that. And that discouraged my coworkers. They were like, oh, we're just going to be here.
Yeah.
So whenever she leaves, technically. And that's just sad. I just didn't think that was supportive at all. And I mean, it talks about it here. Like, you need to help them if you want to. That's kind of being grateful towards your employees because you're trying to help them achieve other things, not just stay in one place.
Yeah. That's sad that she was doing that because that prohibits their, learning possibilities and their chance to really progress in that field.
Yeah.
That's not fair. So the next question says, what are some barriers to expressing gratitude? And you kind of touched on one right there, just by not helping, any others?
Say that one more time.
Yeah, there's a lot of feedback from your computer, Melissa. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll mute.
That's okay. Sorry. So it says, what are barriers to expressing gratitude?
Okay.
What prevents you from expressing it?
Oh, I know. Sometimes I have a hard time accepting other people's gratitude. I don't know. Sometimes it's an uncomfortable situation. So I guess for some people that would be considered a barrier. It also, you're putting yourself out there. Sometimes it's just hard to approach someone in that manner. There's a handful of things that could really go into it.
Yeah. Something that I wrote down first off was personalities. That different personalities definitely express it differently and share it differently. And that's something that I've really had to try and figure out this year with such a large turnover and where I work. That's been hard. Anything else?
I even found that although I had a good relationship with all of these people, I think it's kind of like a little bit of like wearing your heart on the sleeve. Like it's a little bit, makes you a little bit vulnerable. It makes you a little bit like uncomfortable to express some of this stuff. And sometimes I feel a little goofy, right? So I think there's that. For me, it took me outside of my comfort zone a little bit to really think about these people that had made such a difference, and then identify it, and I don't know. It took a little bit.
Go from there. Yeah. Some other things I wrote down for some barriers was pride, culture, beliefs, selfishness, lack of prior deprivation, no self-reflection, material, like very material focused, and like passive aggressiveness. But yeah,
those are all good. And culture, I guess I'm Latina, and I can see that a lot in my people. Like they're like, oh no, I can't do that. You know, like that's just, especially because then you have the macho thing. It's like the men are like, oh, I'm strong. I don't do this. I don't do that. And they don't want to express gratitude, but I guess that's something that we need to work on. I guess we all have to work on something at one point. But yeah, breaking that barrier, I think it's so difficult. Because I can see it on my dad. But I actually came across there's a YouTuber I watch. She's like, her and her husband are entrepreneurs, and they have successful businesses, and they came out with a book called The 5-Year Journal, which I need to get. But like I keep hearing about it from them and from like other people, how it helps them kind of reflect at the end of the day. You can either use it in the morning or at night, but like reflect on 5 things that you're grateful for. And it goes back to the reading we had about writing 3 things that you're grateful for at the end of the day. And I thought it was interesting because we may say like mentally, oh yeah, I'm fine, like I'm grateful for what I have, but you don't really see it, you know. And I think that's the whole point of writing it, because you can visually see it and acknowledge it, that is in your life, and that you are grateful for it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting, and I need to do that. I need to work on that.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference when you like process each one individually.
Exactly.
Because I think we just, like you said, we just kind of look at things kind of generally like, yeah, I have a pretty good, I'm grateful for this. But, if you think about like the individual things, then you really appreciate what you have.
Yeah. Actually, this morning, one of my coworkers had a flat tire, and and it made me think, oh, I'm very grateful that I have a husband that was able to knows all of that stuff. Because if I had a flat tire, I'd be walking. I don't even care. That's too bad. And he loves cars, and so he's has all that maintenance. I don't even know what it is, but he's got it all under control. And so it just made me grateful that, he had that all taken care of, and,
That's good.
that was a good little
I
reality
had a
check
bad
for me.
experience. I locked myself out of the car.
Oh no.
In Oklahoma, I had no one I knew. I was in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know where it was. It was horrible.
That's not good.
But I survived.
Oh, good. Yeah, cars are not fun sometimes. So I guess to jump back onto that, it says, how are those barriers of expressing gratitude overcome? This was kind of tricky for me to answer because
I think it goes back to just doing it, because for example, when I was learning English, I mean, I don't know everything yet, but I remember being shy and being scared of speaking the language or trying to do something about it. But I was like, if I don't do it, then how am I supposed to learn, So I feel like it's just like jumping into it and doing it, because if I don't do it, I'm not going to overcome that fear. Never.
Yeah.
So I think that's the same way we need to do it. We may sound goofy, like we were saying, or it seems weird, but I feel like if we live with gratitude, like it was, and the reading, it was saying that if we live in gratitude, you can see even like health improvements and like other things, because your mind is just thinking positively, and that positivity goes to your body, and I mean that's overall good.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like what you were saying. It's kind of the same thing with all social interactions, like public speaking or approaching someone you don't know. You just have to do it enough that you can get comfortable doing it.
What's the? Oh, sorry, Melissa. Go ahead.
No, I just think that also fostering a culture, no matter whether it's your work culture or your family's culture or your like literal culture, like Diana's talking about, making that okay, making it safe and making it a place where everyone is okay doing it. And I think as we teach others around us that it's okay and safe, then it makes it better for everyone. And Diana, I've been only speaking English and I still don't do it well. And so, you know, I don't think it's so hard. I think we'll all like never get there. It's impossible.
It's so hard. I know. Even Spanish. Trust me. My husband knows better Spanish than I do. And I'm like, okay, I don't know.
That's funny.
That's funny.
I forgot. Oh, there's the movie with they buy a zoo and the kids are super unhappy. It's with oh, I don't even know, but he talks about having 20 seconds of courage. And I just kind of like that from the movie, and it's like, oh, just 20 seconds of courage is what got him to talk to this lady who became his wife, and they started a family. And I just thought that was kind of neat. It reminded me of the quote from our prophets, you know, split second decisions determine our destiny and our eternity. And having that courage to, you know, go and talk to somebody or have the courage to express your gratitude, and you know, it's a small thing, but it affects lots of things later down the road, I think. Okay, so then it said to just kind of like pick a story or pick a question from each of the 3 readings that we read. And I just kind of did general questions. So if we have like any comments like about President Monson's talk, I had a comment that I wanted to share for that. And then if we had any other comments about any of the other readings, we can go from there. But from President Monson's talk, I loved how he said, we have all experienced times when our focus is on what we lack rather than our blessings. Said the Greek philosopher Oedipus, he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. And I've noticed that a lot lately in the area where I live, because it's the fastest growing city in the nation. And we are getting just an influx of people from all different states and stuff. And I've noticed in my ward that it's become like very cliquey and kind of keeping up with the Joneses. And so it's kind of, this quote really reminded me to not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoice for what he has. So it just kind of reminded me to just be grateful with what you have, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an important thing to do.
Yep. It's hard to not get caught up in those worldly things.
It's true. I guess I'm gonna share something personal, but like growing up in El Salvador, we didn't have many things, and sometimes even food. And when it comes to Christmas here, I tend to get very emotional because I think about other families that may not have what I have. Like physical things, material things, but I just try to think like, you know, that I'm grateful for being here in the place that I'm in now, and for all the blessings that for all the work my ancestors did to give us the life we have. Because I've been there, like anytime I see someone on the street, like it just breaks my heart when I see kids. Like I went back to El Salvador and these 2 little girls were asking me for food, and it broke my heart immediately. And I was just like, I can't, you know, just ignore the fact that there's other people who are in need. And here I am, like just thinking, oh, I need this, I need that, and like, do I really need it? You know, it just makes me reevaluate my life and just think like, you know, how can I help instead of just like I want. And maybe giving back to the community in any other way I can. Like, I don't know. Maybe after I'm done taking care of my daughter, I can go back and maybe work for a nonprofit organization. I've always been wanting to do that because like I want to help those that are in need. And I don't know, this brought me so many like emotions from my childhood, because I sometimes forget to be grateful. And it reminded me that I need to start being more grateful for everything I have.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sorry.
You're
I
good.
cry for everything.
Thank you for sharing it. Another thing that really stuck out to me in President Monson's talk was the 9 lepers and how he said the one turned back. And it really made me think, you know, why didn't the others come back? I mean, I guess the way I thought of it is that having that horrible disease for so long, and then to have it completely cleansed and be gone, and then to be in no pain, I think I could see from their perspective how that would really overshadow going back to say thank you.
That's very true.
Yeah.
It's like our talents. It's kind of like, you know, we're given talents, but if we don't develop them, or we don't, I feel like sometimes we're selfish. Like, for example, I make my tres leches cake, and a lot of people ask me, how do you make it? How do you make it? I'm like, okay, like I give them my recipe, but I hear some people, they're like, oh no, that's my recipe, I'm not gonna give it to you. And I feel like, okay, like that's cool, but how are you supposed to, you know, teach someone else your talents if you're not, you know, sharing what you know how to do?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my view on that.
Yeah. I think, yeah, to seeing, you know, people like you were talking on the streets and stuff, it is hard, and it really does humble you and bring you back to what we all have and everything, especially this time of year, like you were saying. I had a Christmas one year that we all, our whole family, our whole extended family got together, and we bought presents for each other. Then we loaded it up in a big truck and we drove it to a family that was struggling. And that's a Christmas that I remember still from super young. We didn't get anything that year, and that is the Christmas that I remember. You know, just knowing, I think from such a young age too, to realize that the world does not revolve around you.
Exactly.
We at work we do this thing that's called be Santa to a senior. Yeah. And so it's amazing just the little things that these seniors ask for. They're like, I want a pair of fuzzy socks and clean underwear, you know, or a coloring book and crayons, you know, just these like little things that they don't have. And so the opportunity to kind of help meet that need and the gratitude that you see as these presents are delivered, I think is just, it's huge and it's very touching. I think also, I have a tendency that when I get super depressed, which this time of year happens a lot because there's no freaking sun, that I start going inward and thinking more about myself, and I stop thinking about all the blessings that I've seen in my life over the last couple of years. It's been a hard couple of years, and as I've come out of it and see, and moving back to Omaha was never in my game plan at all, and that was hard. So I think now as I reflect back and I see those blessings, I try more often to see the blessings that I've had and the Lord guide my life. And what comes as we're obedient, the blessings that come, and expressing gratitude for those to the Lord and to the others around us, I think really kind of helps me get out of those self-centered modes. I don't know, it's probably the same thing, similar to what Diana said, you know, that we need to be reminded that everything we have comes from the Lord. So
I agree, yeah. And that made me think of my mom taught my brother and I from a young age that in your prayers, you should never try to say the same things over and over again. And so when we would take turns saying family prayers, my brother and I were not very nice, but we would be like, "Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the bookshelf." and after the prayer, my mom would be like, "That was a great prayer. I'm glad that you said thank you for the bookshelf, because it's what holds our family albums and it's what holds up our scriptures right now." She always like turned it in a good way, you know. But as I've grown up and stuff, it does remind me when I say prayers and stuff to really think about what I have and to be grateful for, you know, not just having those repetitious prayers.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah, it's real easy to get caught up in just kind of, especially with praying, just saying like the same general stuff. Like, I'm sure all of us hear prayers that are like, you know, dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. And, you know, a lot of people say that, but what does that mean? You know, what do they actually mean? And at that point, I feel like it's just words at that point, you know. We need to, like you were saying, that we need to actually think about what we mean when we're being grateful instead of just letting it be a normal thing that we say.
Yep. Reminds me of testimonies too, when people get up and I like to bear my testimony. I know this church is true. We keep tally during Fast Sunday to see how many people say that. Just kind of funny.
It's very true.
Yeah. So the last two articles, we really already talked about them. The gratitude at work article though was really neat because it gave 3 strategies to kind of try and help to be grateful, and I just wanted to go over those really quick. We kind of really already talked about them. It says reflect on 3 good things. So like you said, at the end of the day, the video or the people that you watch, they write down 5 or 3 things. And it says the daily exercise of counting your blessings has been found to increase and sustain happiness. The next one says want what you have. And I thought this was really cool because I think it just showed again how to be grateful for really what you have and knowing that you don't need that, whatever you want.
Yeah. That's true.
And then the third one was to communicate gratitude, which we talked about the whole meeting. And that was it. That's all I really wanted to just focus on again. It was a fairly simple meeting, but now that we're going through it and stuff, I feel like maybe I didn't prepare as much. But I think we had some really good discussions and stuff. So
no, I think we covered it in pretty good depth. I think you did fine. No worries.
I think the moral of the story is really that it made us realize that probably we're not being as grateful as we should be. And you know, we should reflect on that.
Yeah. It's always a good reminder to have these.
Yeah.
Nothing like a good guilt trip to get you back on track for a while.
When you guys were talking about prayer, I remember because when I was little, I would pray, I'm not kidding, maybe for an hour. Like, seriously, I would pray and like say thank you for everything. And then as I got older, it's like, okay, like my prayers have gotten shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's bad because then this makes me realize, like, am I really being grateful for everything I have, you know? Yeah. It's an eye-opening.
Yeah. I teach the Sunbeams, and their prayers consist of, you know, thank you for snack and Jesus,
they're
and
so cute.
for my sparkly shoes, and you know that this kid didn't hit me, and those are good things to be thankful for, I guess. You know, those little kids remind you of how innocent they are. It's cute.
So sweet.
But well, I guess
I think we did good.
Yeah.
So I have an ask for next week. I think I'm supposed to lead next week.
It's me.
Is it you? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, that's perfect.
I think you have until the last week.
The last week?
Yeah.
Okay. I keep saying every week. I think it's my turn, but I'm not sure. Okay, I have a cousin getting married, so I'm like gonna be in Utah next week. So that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Are you gonna be able to be in the meeting or?
I think so.
Okay.
It's during the reception, and so I don't know.
Yeah.
If not, it's okay.
Okay, I might like check in for a little bit just to say hi.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on how the reception's going. So
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah,
Sounds good.
I just looked it up really quick, and yeah, Melissa, you have lesson 12, which is our
Lesson
last
12.
meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
last one. Mhm.
I'll like put that in my phone so I stop trying to claim all of the meetings.
No, it's fine.
Go for it if you want.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I want people to have the opportunity to learn and grow.
That's good. For November 30th, though, that I will not be here because it's my brother's wedding.
Your brother's wedding.
Gotcha.
That's exciting.
I know. It's coming
Fun.
so soon.
All right, guys.
Thank
Have
you.
an awesome weekend and
You too.
a good week.
Thank you.
Thanks.